Alright guys, welcome back to Wargaming China. Now, you know what I do here on my free channel. I platform my understandings of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in China from 1931 to 1945. And as you know, if you've been watching my channel regularly, I've just completed the first Suzhou campaign, or the Battle of Taierzhuang, and this has taken me over a dozen scenarios and engagements on the wargaming table to recreate the battles and tell the story of the battle of Liaison Grant's forces in the 5th War Zone. And it's been fun, and I just wanted today to showcase the forces. Just got that tangled up. The Guangxi, the forces of the Guangxi clique. The forces of Pang the Undead. Forces of the Northwestern Army. The forces of the Sichuan Provincial Army. The forces of the Northeastern Army. And finally, government support in the form of 37mm anti-tank guns, 105 Type 14 howitzers, and German-made 105mm field guns, and 2 Dare to Die companies. Now, as you can see, the forces are very disparate. The Chinese forces for this campaign were drawn from a motley bunch, because indeed, as I said many times, this is all time to buy time to defend Wuhan. And I really enjoyed my campaign, and I learnt quite a bit from it. First thing I learned is that there are no sources quite aligned with other sources, which is pretty standard now, I've discovered, with wargaming this war and platforming my understandings. And some of the engagements, like I worked from Olsen's The Battle of Taierzhuang, Stalingrad on the Yangtze, and I worked from Benjamin Lai's Chinese Soldier versus Japanese Soldier, and I worked from Rock Boss, which is a YouTube channel, a Chinese YouTube channel. And those were the main sources I used. And even though I used such few sources, because the more sources I would have used for this, the more contradictions I would have had and faced. And I'll give you an example of that. If we look at Benjamin Lai, he would tell us that there was no fighting on the north bank of the River Huai. He would tell us that the Japanese never crossed the River Huai, whereas Olsen goes into great detail about the battles for Little Bengbu and Little Bengbu and Haiyuan. But I just platform my understandings. I'm not saying other authors are wrong, I just presented their work to you. And because I hold any author in high esteem, because Benjamin Lai got so many other things right. So but as I said, I really enjoyed this campaign. I really I really found it enjoyable when I was fielding Sun Jian's forces of the Sichuan Provincial Army, who were fielded to the two-gun army, and then Liu Shai's no-fight army, and Zhang Zhaizhong's 31st Division. It gave me great joy to put these forces on the wargaming table and showcase their fight for China and their part in the very long battle that would lead to Taierzhuang. And it was because of all of these battles. By the time the battle did get to Taierzhuang, the Japanese did get to Taierzhuang, all of these provincial forces had bought time for supplies and heavy weapons and for men to be trained in their use. So I really enjoyed the campaign, and the campaign shows you also the vast differences in Chinese forces. So this is my way of showing you that you can build a Chinese army, and you can do a lot of the fighting with it. But for many of the campaigns, I've had to go into more greater detail with the armies. Now, as far as this campaign has gone, I've done campaigns before where I kept charts of casualties and loss of equipment and even ammunition. And then the game didn't work out because by mid-game, the one force was far too strong for the other. And I've played other campaigns like the Yangtze River campaign, where it was just one engagement after time and the engagements I picked. And I did the same here for Taierzhuang. I used battles that I thought would explain the battle in the best ways possible. Although I did fail to involve Tang and Bo's forces on the table. So what we saw at Taierzhuang was the Japanese army again drawn in and its rear cut off. So by the time the Japanese army retreated, it did leave a lot of arms and equipment behind. It was a decisive defeat for the Japanese army, and it was China's first major victory. And like I said, as I've said, it was a joy to bring it to the youth as a wargamer, or just as a armchair historian. The guns, the Type 14s, I don't know if I've done a video on them or not. I made myself. The 105s, the Revel, beautiful kit. There's a 77mm in there at the back. That's a conversion. Indeed, many of the guns and the figures are conversions. As you know, if you watch this channel, that's what I like doing. So my armies. Let's have a look again at the Guangxi army. Now, sometimes for this campaign, or indeed for any campaign that one might do, you might have to make compromises as to what forces you have. Otherwise, you might be waiting 10-15 years to assemble your forces for that campaign that you want to do, which I understand, because I've done that. But this Guangxi provincial force was my way of trying to balance out. I mean, what have we discovered in the Battle of Taierzhuang? We discovered a platform to you that yes, we will see suicidal tactics when it comes to the forces of Sichuan and Sun Jian. But no, we won't see suicidal tactics. The tactic of suicide against armor or self-immolation. We won't see that with the Guangxi Clique's army. But that doesn't mean they're not brave. Pangyang Dead's forces, although we're down to 5 regiments when they when they themselves counterattacked around Lingyi, were far from well equipped, and as you can see here, a very small force, very indifferently armed and equipped, whereas the forces of the 31st Division of Taierzhuang of Taierzhuang, which attacked Japanese in Little Bengbu in a night attack, are a very large formation, but very few weapons in support. Very few support weapons. But a willingness to again use suicide as a means to defeat the Japanese. Suicidal attacks on tanks, dare to die. Self-immolation. And then we come to the Northeast Army, and we see that their army did not fight indifferently, put up stubborn defense, but again we didn't see at first any self-immolation. It was only later on in the campaign. So each army, it looks different and fights different, is equipped different, and is unique in its own way. The legs of my camera stand keep catching on the tablecloth. So that was my campaign. I learned a lot from it. I learned that actually my campaigns are more of a long game, series of games. Now I don't keep charts or anything like that anymore. I also learned that although the warlords had lots and lots of rivalries between themselves, many, and long histories of double-crossing each other, for this campaign, other than Han Fu-Chu, who had let the Japs cross the Yellow River, other than him, there was very little betrayal in this battle. And because Han Fu-Chu was executed, all these warlord generals with their provincial armies and their clique forces all snapped to attention and were a bit quicker to obey the orders of the Military Advisory Council, the MAC, and Chang himself. And at the end of the day, Lai Zongren really played his cards very well indeed to defeat the Japanese in what should be termed the first Suzhou campaign, that really becomes known as the Battle for Taierzhuang. And all credit must go to the Chinese forces involved. As I said, during this campaign we didn't really see the National Revolutionary Army, the Army of China. We saw indeed the different armies of China. And that's what I wanted to do when I platformed this. When I thought I want to platform my understandings of China and armies, Chinese armies, and I hope I've done that. And I hope these series of videos have helped you understand the Battle of Taierzhuang a little bit better, and be a little bit more intimate with the names of the Chinese leaders and the battles fought. Okay. That's all from me. Hit like and subscribe, and I don't know what I'll be back with next week or next time. Alright, see ya.